Wall, the Jackson Postcast. Not a Sunday, not a Saturday. We are on a Thursday, and Brandon and I are in different time zones. I am in East Tennessee right now. Brandon is back in West Tennessee. Both spots are humid. I'm assuming it's humid there. It's miserable here in Chattanooga after those massive floods they had yesterday. I guess all the moisture is just evaporating
Oh,
back up into the atmosphere, and it is muggy here.
yeah.
So yeah, I had to move my daughter into college today. It was about a 3.5 hour drive and an 8 hour dorm room revamp or whatever you call it. It was a lot of work.
Have you been climbing a lot of stairs, like reenacting the classic Friends scene with the pivot, or?
Pivot? No, thankfully. Now she brought so much. She brought way too much stuff. Luckily, there was no couch involved, and she's on the second floor, so didn't have to climb too many stairs. But man, I had to like raise a bed, lower a bed, raise a bed, lower a bed, put up some command strips. Curtain rod fell 3 times. It's just that kind of stuff. But we figured it out, and I'm hanging in there. I'm not super sad yet, so I'm sure it'll hit at some point. But right now, it's all good.
It'll probably hit tomorrow when you're done and it's time to go. That's what I'm
Yeah,
figuring.
I think when I get home, it's gonna be hard. I think that's when it'll all kind of hit me there. But
Yeah.
anyway, how are things in Medina in West Tennessee?
They're good. My family, we are preparing for the same experience. This weekend we are moving my son up to Martin, so it's only 45 minutes away as opposed to
Across the state.
210 minutes away. Um, but yeah, my wife and I were having a discussion today while I was driving back from Tiptonville, and like, fortunately, he's a boy. He doesn't care what his room looks like. He doesn't need all the decorations. He doesn't need 17 pillows on his bed. So I'm thinking we're probably going to make the trip with like 2 garbage bags full of clothes and maybe a grocery sack of toiletries and be done with it. But I'm probably overestimating or underestimating, and it's probably going to wind up being a lousy trip. But
Yeah, there's always a Walmart there, right?
yep.
You can get what you need. I've been to Walmart twice today, and we took 2 full loads of stuff in a car. We still get Walmart. Uh, so you mentioned in passing that you were in Tiptonville, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to
Right.
go through the rundown.
Hmm.
Also, I just want to acknowledge the the topic of our conversation last week was about the Austin Drummond case, and uh, our engagement from out whoever watches this
Hmm.
went up precipitously, and obviously it probably had to do with the subject matter. So we are going to discuss what happened today
Hmm.
when you were at the source hearing in Lake County. Uh, it's not going to be long, and
Hmm.
it's a deviation from what we normally do because it's not in this print edition. We will talk about this print edition, but we are first going to talk about what happened today briefly, and then lead into something that is in the print edition, which is you had a conversation with District Attorney Jody Pickens, who, as we referenced last week, he wrote a letter encouraging uh, the I don't even know what you call it, the jail, the system,
The parole board.
the parole board to not release Austin Drummond. And so we'll talk about that. And then we'll get into some other news, and it's not all heavy. We're going to talk about the Northside Band. Excellent headline, by the way. Just the font, the boldness of the lettering, the
Hmm.
pictures. Really good story. Great front page, especially after the last 2 weeks we've had with news.
Yeah.
Locally, I think it's good to see something positive on the front page. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about recovery specialists asking for help in combating a new drug. In that article, it sounds like you kind of stumbled upon that. Just happened to be at a Republican caucus meeting, and that was brought up. And so we can kind of dive into that a little bit. It's a
Yeah.
very serious issue, and it's something that I don't want to say I have a little bit of personal experience with, but I sort of, whenever you mentioned that, or whenever the article we were texting, I was like, okay, yes, I'm familiar with some of this. So we can talk about that, and a lot of the stuff that's sort of adjacent to that that's for sale right now. It's
Yeah.
a kind of a dangerous, weird time for synthetic. I don't want to say
Drugs.
drugs. Yeah, drugs that are
S-
legal.
Stimulants. Let's go with
Stimulant.
stimulants.
Well, not all of them are stimulants. Some of them will that kratom is not. It'll level you out a little bit, I think.
Oh, well, they were talking about it being an energy drink, so I
It's
assumed it
interesting.
was
Yes,
doing
well, I know, and I'm confused on that. And I think obviously it affects people in different ways, but
it.
we can have that conversation when it's time.
Yeah.
City Council looking at possible cost cutting measures,
Yeah.
and that's interesting because they're ahead of the game because it seems like they wait until like 2 weeks before budget season to start talking about that.
Right.
So now they're planning. So I have not read it. I have not read that piece. So I'm very interested to see or to hear what you say
Yeah.
about that. And let's see. That might be it. I don't have anything to write on in this bougie hotel that I'm staying in tonight. They have a rotary phone because it's like artsy. Like this is normally I like that stuff.
Does it work?
I better. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's so silly. Like they don't even have like a pen and a notepad. I usually get a free drink when I come here, not like an alcoholic drink, but like a Coke. You know. No, I had to check in at the bar at this hotel. There's a neon sign that said check in. I got this on points from Marriott, and it's downtown, close to the campus.
Right.
Like it is there's like a glowing orange light under the bed when I walked in. There's stuff hanging on the walls. Like I don't even know. It's called Moxie. I don't. It is not my kind of place.
Glowing orange. And
Glowing
you're not
orange.
even in Knoxville.
No, it is. I feel like I don't feel like this is a sports themed place. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I just got it for points and it was close to the campus. I did not know what I was getting myself into. So that's our rundown. In the worst month of the year, which is August, we are right in the middle of it, and I think we got one more heat wave coming, and then maybe Brandon, 4 weeks from now, we will be cooled off and watching football. College.
Not to rehash what we said last week, but I mean, I just the 9 Sundays usually combined in July and August. I hate the walk into church and then the walk back out to the car wearing jeans and 2 shirts. Well, and now lately I'm having a weekly drive to Tiptonville, and I hate the walk to the courthouse and the walk to the Lake County Banner office because we own that paper. Richardson Media Group owns that paper, so I'm getting work done there. And it's like, why can't the town of Tiptonville afford a dome and a large HVAC for that dome?
Yeah.
But
What's wrong with them? Lake County.
6,300 people, the tax revenue should be there.
You would think. I feel like one of the 300 people that watched last week's episode was the month of August somehow infiltrating a human being, and it heard us talking so bad about it. It was like, oh, you think this is bad? Okay, let me give y'all some real heat.
Let's go ahead and turn that oven up to broil.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so you went to Tiptonville today.
Mhm.
And it was the source hearing where last week I think we thought there would be a lot of information that would come out, and turns out that wasn't the case. So what happened today in Tiptonville?
So this was the time that essentially Drummond and his lawyer, Brian Huffman, and the other defendants in the case, Deara Sanders, Tanaka Brown, and even Brandon Powell, who has charges against him, but it's not related to the quadruple murder. It's related to apparently he and Drummond are accused of trying to sneak contraband into the Northwest Correctional facility on June 18th. Got caught before they could actually do it. Led law enforcement a high-speed chase, and the law enforcement are chasing them saw them dump a bunch of stuff out the window as they're going down the road. They later confiscated it all. It wound up being a drone, some drug paraphernalia, a piercing machine. And they were all going to try to get it into the prison to somebody in there, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So all 4. Giovante Thomas, we've discussed him. He hasn't been mentioned. I've got a question into the DA about him because if it's very possible he's released and something got announced and I missed it.
Right.
But I want to get that checked out before I say anything definitive about it. But the other 4 all appeared in court this morning, had preliminary hearing set. Drummond is going to be on September 4th. Brown is going to be, I'm sorry, Powell is going to be on September 2nd. Bless you.
Thank you.
September 2nd. And then the other two, Sanders and Brown, will be on September the 12th. And in those cases, or in those hearings, all the evidence will be laid out against each one. And so I guess on September 4th will be the day that we've been waiting on since August the 5th,
Right.
where we find out why is he the one accused, what happened, maybe a motive, all this other stuff.
All those things, yeah. I think that's what, especially by that time, I feel like it's really going to reach a fever pitch because, I mean, this isn't going away, obviously, and I think people have been wondering that, right, since the beginning, like, why did this happen? Anytime 4 people are murdered, there's obviously a lot that, you don't know a lot of information about that. Like, there's a story there, and people want to know that naturally. So, well, that's in, I guess, you say the 4th or the 14th of September?
4th.
The 4th. Okay, so September the 4th.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the atmosphere like in there? Was it pretty tense? Was it crowded? Was there a lot of media there?
There were more people there today than there was last week, but I also I think it was a typical Thursday docket for Lake County General Sessions Court because last week the Drummond hearing started at 8:15 a.m. because at 9, which is when court typically starts, they already had a murder trial set to reconvene at 9 o'clock. So the judge, Andrew Cook, worked with the circuit court judge to have the Drummond hearing 45 minutes earlier than they would normally start court, so that they could go ahead and get that out of the way and get everybody gone, so that they could have this murder trial. So, the jury for the other trial was being sequestered in a side office right next to the courtroom, and everyone connected to that was waiting out in the hallway to come in. And then as soon as the Drummond stuff was over, or was actually transferring over to Tiptonville City Hall across the street, of course, all the media and everybody kind of skedaddled on out of there and cleared the way for typical proceedings. This time around, they were having Drummond and everybody else appear via Zoom from the jail, which is right behind the courthouse. I'm not really sure why they didn't just go ahead and bring them all in, but the way Judge Cook was talking today, it sounds like they're all going to actually be brought in for the preliminary hearings in September.
Okay.
But then as soon as that was over, they had like a typical docket of Thursday cases to hear throughout the morning.
What was Drummond like today on video? Did he speak at all, or is he just there listening?
He asked the question again about trying to get a speedy trial. And the district attorney for the 29th district, David Goodman, sorry. He explained to the media afterwards that he's got to get to pass the preliminary hearing, past the grand jury phase of the trial or the process, and I think he has to get to circuit court before he can ask for a speedy case. So he said you're looking at a year and a half at best before you start even talking about a speedy trial.
Why does Drummond want a speedy trial? Like, why does he want that?
He Goodman didn't know, and I'm probably going to send an email to Huffman to see if he's willing to speak to media. And that's going to be one of the questions I ask him, if he's willing to talk.
Boy, that's something, man. Like, I feel like I don't know. I get it's either yeah. He either knows like okay, this isn't. Let's just get this over with. I don't. I don't. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Also, the gall of
That's my
someone to
first inclination, but that's a
yeah.
totally
Sure, mine
uneducated
too.
guess.
I just can't think of any other reason though that you would want to. I don't know. Yeah, it's. I would have never thought to have asked for that. Also, just the gall of someone to ask for that. Like, dude, just don't ask for anything. Um, okay, so this brings us to something that was in the print edition, and I feel like this hasn't
Well,
been. Oh, go
one
ahead.
more thing that I want to bring out from this morning too that we haven't mentioned. I forgot to even tell you before we recorded. There, so he's got everybody that's charged in the murders. Um, and my dogs were just let out in the other side of the backyard, so you might hear them. Uh, but everybody that's charged in the murders, so everybody except Powell, have a restraining order against them for no contact with any family members of the victims, including the baby um, of Matt Wilson and Adriana Williams that was found in the yard that started all this. Um, Drummond's lawyer asked for that restraining order to be um, amended to allow contact with Courtney Rhodes' sister, who is, or I'm sorry, nothing official was said, but apparently it's Courtney Rhodes' sister, according if we want to believe everything that we see on Facebook.
Okay.
Um, that is his girlfriend, the lady who, um, well, that's getting into stuff that I would not put in print. So,
I feel like
but
you're tiptoeing right now. You're tiptoeing a little bit. Yeah,
I
tell me
I am.
should I ask a follow up or no? Like I won't
I
if
mean,
you
you
don't
can
mind.
ask a follow up. I don't have to answer.
I just it's for clarification purposes. So
Yeah.
why was the restraining order asked to be lifted because of what? Like who is in a relationship or what was the
All right.
point of it?
So Austin Drummond's girlfriend is a sister of one of the victims. That was exactly what was said this morning in
Okay,
the in by the defense attorney.
okay,
Um, and uh, and when he originally said it, I did see some chatter on the social medias today where it sounded like they were saying that the girlfriend was asking for the ability to have communication with Drummond. But actually, what it was Drummond was asking for the restraining order to be amended to where he can contact her, or she can contact him. But both the judge and the DA were like, she hasn't come to us saying she wants that, so we're not going to grant
okay.
it. Now, if I guess between now and September 4th or some point after that, if they come to her, if she comes to them saying, yes, I would like to have contact with him, then they'll consider it. I don't think it's a given that they'll allow it, but yeah, that was pretty much the only thing out of the ordinary that happened today.
Gotcha. Okay. So obviously September 4th will be circled on a lot of people's calendars around here, and even the days preceding that, when all of the alleged accomplices also have to enter the courtroom. Speaking of the
Right.
courtroom, District Attorney Pickens, you had a conversation with him about a letter he wrote about 5 years ago in June of 2020, encouraging the parole board not to grant Austin Drummond parole. We referenced this last week. You had a conversation with Jody this week. What was that like? What all did he add anything to what he was saying, or um, how did he? What
Well,
did he explain this week?
so one piece of interesting information, which you know, the day that, sorry, I got a nice little back itch here. Um, the day that Drummond's car was found in Jackson, August 1st, it kind of came to public light that this letter was out there from Pickens, and when we discussed it last week, I wasn't even 100% sure if it was genuine. So that was the first question I had for him when I talked, and he did confirm it. Um, But an interesting piece of info that he gave me was in 2014, when this happened, he was still an assistant DA. His predecessor had not retired yet, and he hadn't been appointed yet or won any elections yet. And so he was the actual prosecutor who prosecuted Drummond when he was accused of and found guilty or convicted of aggravated robbery in Jackson at a Circle K convenience store in 13 or 14, whenever it happened. So he told me that he remembers, like, even now, even if Drummond hadn't been accused of killing 4 people less than a month ago, he would still be able to recall prosecuting that case. So he said, so I know that, when I got word that he was up for parole, and I saw kind of everything that he had been up to since he'd been in prison. He had been in prison for 6 years by this point. In 2020,
from the time when he in 2014 he was how old? 6. He was not an adult,
right?
right? So
he
was charged as an
I
adult.
think it was
Though.
16.
He did some adult time, even though
right.
he wasn't. That's how bad that was. Like whatever the
right
aggravated assault. Okay.
Yeah. So he's about 6 years into his sentence by 2020, and he has 25 write-ups against him of disciplinary violations while in jail. So we're looking at about once every 3 months he's acting up, and to the point that they're making a record of it in his file. And he had apparently made threatening remarks on a phone call, I think, with his father about the jury and witnesses, saying, I'll be out one day, so they probably need to watch out. And so with those two things, Pickens's case that he made was he's not rehabilitated, so he doesn't need to be out in society because this guy committed one violent crime. We don't need to give him a chance to commit another one. And then 4 years after that, he is released because he completes his sentence. But before that point, he had allegedly attempted murder while in jail, and was able to be out on bond. And he had that court hearing coming up on August 25th, where he was going to appear for that charge.
Okay, so was he when he was released? Was it parole? Was it not parole, or he had served his sentence?
He had served his sentence. So if I was saying he was released on bond or parole or whatever last week, Pickens clarified that for me too. He said he wasn't released. He served his time, so he got out for that.
Okay.
Which, me and I readily admit this part of this kind of journalism I'm not very experienced in. I have to preface that whenever I interview just about anybody on this story. So my ignorant self is wondering, if you're already serving time and you've got this accusation against you, how, can't we go ahead and keep him in jail a little longer? But apparently they're not going to do that until he's convicted, or he's going to have the same rights for a crime committed while serving time in prison as he would if he had committed it or been accused of committing it while being out here among society.
How long had he been out? How long had he been out before all of this happened?
I want to say he got out in September of last year.
Okay.
I want either right at around a year. I'd say somewhere between 12 and 14 months. I mean, 10 and 14 months.
10 and 14. Wow,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're just scratching the surface on this. There's once a lot of the other information comes out, it's gonna be hard. Like I feel like this is something I didn't say last week, and I want to say it today. I I saw some people share a Facebook post that really resonated with me, and it was obviously what he is accused of doing is horrific, and it's so hard to wrap your mind around how anybody could do that. But I had this thought whenever he was out running around in the woods and he hadn't been caught yet, and the thought was, if that was my kid out there, I would be so sad. I would be scared for him, and I would be worried about him, even though I probably knew what he had probably done.
Yeah.
It's so easy for people outside to say, "Oh, he's bad. This is good." Like these things are so black and white. And I hurt for his parents. I don't. I've met his mom a
Mhm.
couple times a long time ago. I don't know the dad, but like if that was my child, I would. It would kill me. I mean, it would. It would. I would be sad, probably angry. I just think so easy for people outside to say, what should happen, like hang him, whatever else it is. But that's somebody's kid, man. Like and there are still human beings involved in all of this. So it's sad. It's just a sad situation.
The I have had a couple of people reach out to me who know the family, and they said Austin was a good kid. I mean, typical kid. A little bit of trouble growing up, but nothing major, just nothing out of the ordinary. Uh, and he comes from a good, solid family, and I've heard that from a lot of people, and they hate it for them, and it's almost comparable to um, my wife is from Orlando, and she went to First Baptist Orlando, which is one of the largest churches in the country in the SBC, and that is the church that the family of Casey Anthony went to before her child died. And while that trial was going on, um, the family just had to stop going to church. They had to stop doing everything that they normally did because they were being associated with what Casey was accused of. And it's a I get it, but at the same time, I mean, it's just a bad situation all around.
Yeah, it's just bad. It is. It's sad.
Yeah.
And it's okay for me to be angry about it too, right? Like it's all of those things. It's funny you mentioned, and then we can move on after this. But I think I
Yeah.
said this last week. I had him in class for just a few months or weeks. I don't even remember. It was so long ago, and he came at the end of the year. Nothing stood out to him or about him to me. Like he wasn't bad. He was kind of funny. He was sort of,
Mhm.
if I remember right, like kind of quick witted, um, outgoing. Like he was
Mhm.
like I remember like for a kid who was only in my class for a few months or weeks, I remembered him, and that was in
Yeah.
2010 or 11. So we're talking over 15 years ago. Um, so yeah, I just think that there are several kids that I've taught over my 20 years who have been convicted of murder. Most of them, I was like, I never really saw that coming. A couple of them, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I could see
Yeah.
that happening. This was not one of those, so I don't know what happened at some point in after middle school or whatever. But it's a sad situation, and we'll
Mhm.
still be talking about it for a while, probably. Um, on
Yeah.
to some lighter news. City Council is trying to save some money, and they're trying to plan
Yeah.
ahead of time for once. So I didn't read this, like I said earlier. Brandon, what did they talk about? Did they throw out any ideas, or was it more just ambiguous vagaries over how they could save some money?
So the story starts with a reference back to in June when they were going through the budget process, and after they had finally voted to ratify the budget, um, Russ McKelvey, a member of the city council, he made a statement to everybody. And I think maybe it was more to city leadership than it was to the city council to look for ways to cut costs. He said, not necessarily cutting workforce or services, but cutting costs. And so, before the agenda review, before the most recent, for the August city council meeting, they had a work session. And real quick, let me just go ahead and define that. Agenda review always happens at 5 o'clock on the Thursday before city council meeting, except for before the December council meeting, because usually the December council meeting, the Thursday is before that is Thanksgiving. So they have that on Tuesday, a week before. But that always starts at 5 o'clock. But sometimes, and actually most of the time here the last few months, they will meet at 4 to have a work session to discuss things that maybe isn't necessarily going over the agenda. It may be something, it may be a longer discussion related to something on the agenda, or maybe just having a discussion about something else that they need to be educated on and they want to hash out and discuss among themselves. So that's what this was. And they had 2 people come in. One was from Enterprise rental car company. One of the corporate people from, I think she came from Murfreesboro or Nashville, Middle Tennessee. And then another one came from a company called Constellation, which is sort of a infrastructure solutions company. And so essentially, both of these people were making presentations to the council to outsource some of the stuff that the city takes care of themselves to them at a cheaper rate that would, or a one-time fixed rate that would be like, okay, the city knows they're going to pay this money each year and they're going to take care of whatever it is that they take care of. The Enterprise was essentially leasing about 400 or 500 cars and replacing pretty much the entire fleet of city cars, whether that's police or other departments that use company vehicles. Everything that's not a heavy vehicle like a claw truck or something like that, Enterprise would take care of. And over the course of about 5 years, they would have every vehicle replaced. And Jackson would never own a vehicle, they would just lease them out. So you're probably looking at a continuous payment that you're going to be making, but it's to one company for one lump sum. And when you're, if you're a family and it's a vehicle, to me, it makes more sense just to buy a vehicle and own it and keep it for as long as possible and take care of it. And eventually you pay it off and you don't have that payment for a while. So you're able to save a few $100s each month. But if you're dealing with a fleet of 500 vehicles, you're probably
I'm having trouble hearing you right now for some reason.
so they're essentially their pitch was Chadden Tech. Uh, but also said I was reconnecting.
Yeah, you came back for a little bit. All right.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
Okay. But essentially, she was just talking about how other municipalities have a similar agreement.
It's interesting. It sounds very. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
It sounds very much like I know school systems do this with Apple products or MacBooks, right? Like they will lease these MacBooks out for a few years and then send them back, and they send them new ones, and it's just this, and they'll replace them in stages. It sounds very similar to that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, like cars are going to depreciate anyway. Computers the same way. You're not going to make any money off selling a car that's been used, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Anything else come out of that?
Then the other one, Constellation. They contract with a number of municipalities throughout the country, really. They're actually based in, I think, Pittsburgh, maybe Philadelphia, somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Go Steelers.
So a lot of their business is up north, where they essentially handle infrastructure maintenance for cities. And she said that one of the cities they do is that they take care of is Nashville. And apparently, if you go to downtown Nashville, at somewhere on a lot, somewhere right in the middle of downtown, is a brick facade. And on the other side of that brick facade is not a building. It is nothing but a bunch of boilers and stuff. That run directly to like 70 different buildings in downtown, including the Capitol and the Ryman Auditorium and all these different places. So that when those places are getting heated or cooled, it's not from an AC unit on the roof or on the edge of the building. It's from this inside this brick facade on the other end of downtown.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Look, I really like the fact that they're thinking outside the box. We're trying to figure some things out because Lord knows we're not going to raise taxes ever here. So,
right.
Might as well.
Constellation's not talking about installing that in Jackson. I want to go ahead and make that clear.
Where's that going to go?
In fact, there was a funny moment during the meeting where Frank McMee kept asking questions about it because it was very interesting and very compelling. And I'm sitting there wanting to hear about it too. And then finally, Mayor Conger is like, this doesn't really apply to us, so can we get back to talking about Jackson?
Move on.
So they had to get back to it.
But I'm glad that they're talking about this now. Like this is good, so you're not up against the clock, next summer. All right, moving on, there was the band, yes, the front page story. I'm going to say it again. I love the font. I love the pictures. And marching bands seem to be having a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a renaissance.
Comeback, renaissance.
Comeback. Yeah, it's a comeback. What is it?
Resurgence.
Word. Resurgence. That's it.
Resurgence.
Resurgence. Ours at JCM, man. It's unfortunately our band director last year passed away after 1 year, but he was doing such good work with them. And then the one that we have now has come in and not missed a beat. No pun intended, but really. So let's talk about. Sorry, yeah. Let's talk about Northside. Jerry Emmons is the band director there now. So what's he been doing to sort of like build this program back up?
Actually, Miss Ebony is the band director.
My bad.
Emmons is the assistant director. No, but you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I thought that too during football frenzy the other day, and then somebody pointed out. But yeah. Ebony's been there for about 7 years. I'm not sure how long Emmons has been there, but he's been there for a few years, probably 3 or 4. I know I was still at the Sun when Lizzie moved here.
Okay.
Anyways, so Ebony has been here 7 years. She became the band director about 3 years ago. Within the last 5 years, the Northside band had dropped to below fewer than 40 band members. Today, on Monday night at Football Frenzy, they had 70 on the field. They had about 10 more who wasn't there, who could have been. And then they've got 20-something more who are in their beginner program. So I assume they're freshmen, making a grand total of 101 members of the Northside band program this year. So she is she's doing a good job of recruiting her hallways and getting kids out.
That's awesome. Good for her. Hey, that JCM Northside game, first of the year in 2 weeks, that is going to be a festive. You talk about a football frenzy. That's going to be a football frenzy.
It may be the crunkest night in Jackson in 2025.
Not anymore. Not because you just said it was going to be crunk. Now people are like, I'm not going to that game. The game is no longer cool. Yeah, it's going to be.
No,
great.
that matchup has the argument for game of the year in 2024. And if you care about the Commissioner's Cup, and a lot of people do now, I'm thinking that's probably going to be the championship game in week 1. I'm sure Southside is going to have a lot to say about that. Liberty's still trying to build back up, but somebody asked me last week, who's your pick to win the Commissioner's Cup? And I said, probably whoever wins Northside JCM. But it was a dramatic ending to that game last year, and both teams are going to be good this year.
Yeah, I feel good. You know, we lost some big time players, especially Davion Johnson up front, running back Jones Patterson. But man, the kids who have grown since last year, whew, like we had some. I can't think of his name. He goes to ECH now. He's a basketball player too. He's a junior now. Jalen Eckford. My goodness, he was a big, strong dude as a sophomore. He's a grown man. He's a grown man now. Like they're going to be really like wreaking some havoc out there. I'm excited about that. So I don't want to get too off course, but hats off to Northside. Did not mean to make this about JCM football, but hats off to Northside band. Good job. Hey, look, let's just be honest. Like bands have a lot to do with the atmosphere of high school football games. And if you got a strong band, then you got a great atmosphere. If you got two good teams playing, man, this is like, I shouldn't say glory days in the 90s because Northside wasn't very good in the 90s. Like JCM would roll over them like every time. So that's not a good comparison. But the bands were both awesome back then. JCM's band in the 90s, whew, it was impressive. All right.
Well, to hear everybody tell it, everything at JCM in the 90s was awesome. So
it's very true. Speaking of JCM, here's a great transition. Everybody got tired of hearing people complain that JCM's name was not on Hub City Central. And so they said, okay, we ain't got letters, but we're going to put a cougar out front. Not a real one, but a statue. So the I Am JCM Coalition, a group of alumni who sort of banded together in 2016 when JCM was closed to sort of fight for it to stay open, and they were instrumental also in bringing it back, I believe, are putting a cougar statue in front of the stadium. And I saw you at our academic pep rally the other day at JCM, and you were talking to Andre Darnell. So what did he have to say?
Right. Yeah, so he's the president and founder, or one of the founders of the IMJCM Coalition. And he clarified one thing. This was not a reaction to all the uproar from a couple weeks ago. He said, we've been working on this for a while, like over a year.
Okay, okay. I take all of that back.
Are you doubting that?
No, no. It just seems like, boy, the timing of this is something. But okay.
That's what I told him when he saw it. I was like, so you're telling me that y'all were planning on August 8th to announce this, but it just so happened on like July 25th or whatever, everybody was up in arms about what it looks like on the field. Oh yeah, but we already had this outside. He said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And I said, okay. I've never called him in a lie to me before, so I'm going to trust him.
Well, here's historically how this usually plays out. When JCM was closed and everybody was like really mad about it, the school system was like, okay, we'll name early college JCM. Just so y'all, like, here's this, well, to appease you. And then everybody's mad that JCM isn't on Hub City. They're like, here's a cougar to appease you. It just felt like that again. So, but maybe not. You're right. Andre's never lied to me before that I know of. So, and plus, I held a sign for him 2 years ago for school board when he was running. So, I'm an Andre Darnell supporter. So I believe him. And thank you for the statue. Now it's once and for all JCM's field because we got a statue out there.
Well, so the statue is almost complete, but it's not paid for yet. And it won't be here until it gets paid for. So they are doing a campaign to get it paid for. There's going to be a brick walkway. There's going to be a pedestal that's got bricks in the pedestal. So if you want to purchase a brick in the pedestal or in the walkway and have whatever you want said on that brick, I imagine you probably can't put cuss words on there or make fun of people or something like that. But, you know, something positive, some kind of positive message honoring somebody. As a link to the page to purchase a brick on imjcm.org. And this campaign, I think, goes through September 1. because they're hoping to have the money to the guy by the middle of December so that they can have it here in Jackson before homecoming, and whether or not the stadium actually hosts homecoming. But I think that that's kind of the hope at this point, which is October 3rd, I think. Is that right?
No, I feel like you know what? I don't know. I thought it was actually the after fall break, but I could be completely wrong. I don't know. Don't ask me. I should know. I do not know. All right, next.
You should know.
I should. Next and last topic of conversation. I feel like your battery's low. I feel like it went to 20% a while ago, didn't it? I thought so. Okay.
Yep.
So last.
Did you get a notification?
No, but your screen went blank and you touched it and you came back on. I'm like, that's what happens when Brandon's phone gets to 20%.
Oh, okay.
Low power mode. Okay, last thing. I want to squeeze it in. Let's discuss Adam Dooley's column. Let's hear it for the church. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about the. Just joking. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the a serious subject. Not that that's not serious, but an actual like a serious subject. We are going to discuss what you heard at the Republican caucus meeting. That is like it's something that's sort of been under, I think, out of the public eye for a long time now, and now we're seeing some really bad effects from a lot of these things that are out there. And for the record, I am not against some of these things being out there. They're just got to be regulated, and there's got to be way. Like honestly, man, we just got to legalize like the real thing, and then it can be. Then everybody can just sort of like have like some boundaries put around it. Like this stuff that's out there now is incredibly dangerous and synthetic, and it's not monitored. So when you went to the Republican caucus meeting last week or whatever it was, were you expecting to hear this? Had you heard about this before, or did they, when they spoke about it, was that the first time you've heard about these concerns?
I had seen an agenda for the meeting, and I saw that Julianne Stone from Scarlet Rope and Lindsey Crowder from Asphalt Recovery Center were on the agenda to speak to the Republican caucus. But I was expecting them to come in there and asking for money. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird to have two different nonprofits coming in and asking for money on the same day. But maybe they both have something that they need the money for or something like that. No, they weren't coming in to ask for money. They were coming in to ask for action. Because particularly Asphalt, but also there is a addiction treatment piece to what Scarlet Rope does with getting... Oh, okay. Yeah, Scarlet Rope. There is an addiction treatment piece to what they do too. So they've dealt with it some. Where there's a couple of drugs. One is called Kraton or Kraton, Kraton.
Yeah, is it M?
Which is a natural. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is an M. That is a natural chemical taken from a leaf of a plant in Southeast Asia. And then apparently within the last few years, people who are able to do this have started pulling a derivative out of kratom, and making something that's even more potent and worse, even more addictive. And she just called it 7-OH. Apparently, the scientific word is about 47 letters. So we just call it 7-OH. And it's being sold in energy shots. Our energy, it's sold in stuff that looks like it. They're sitting there and you're needing the energy, and you're like, okay, there's 5 hours, that does good. Oh, but there's this one that may be a little bit better. Let's try that. It's in vapes. And one thing that I found out about this, there are 20 vape shops in Madison County.
And like, there's one coming up like every week. The old Advanced Auto Parts store across from AutoZone is like, it's this huge store. It's a vape store now. It's huge. Like what do you don't need all that. And listen, I am not some teetotaler because I do think there are especially when you use some of these things in moderation, rather than drinking alcohol. I do think there are some health benefits to that. Personally, for me, that's been the
Yeah.
case. Like I rarely drink alcohol, and I'm a much healthier person for that. But this stuff is really, it is not regulated well. It's synthetic. It's pretty bad. To speak on the kratom thing, about 10 years ago, I had a friend of mine.
Yeah.
This kratom was sold at the Valero on Highland. This was like 10 years ago, right? And so, like you said, kratom in of itself isn't that strong. However, if you take enough of it, like this person that I knew did, you can get close to a sort
Yeah.
of relaxed feeling like you would get, say, from hydrocodone or an opioid, right? And so I think those affect people a little bit differently. Some people,
Yeah.
they get energetic, some people, they level out. I think it just depends on how you respond. But uh, you have to take a ton of it.
Yeah.
And I think he did. And what the issue was what he felt like afterwards. And when I say what he felt like afterwards, the come down off of that was debilitating emotionally. Like the like deep depression, like it was a very hard thing for him. And this was stuff that was legal. It was sold, like I said, at the Valero by the roundabout. You could just grab it. Now they quit selling it, right? Like they quit selling it shortly after that. And so I've noticed that it's sort of come back
Yeah.
in these vape shops. And if you're extracting things to make that more potent and more concentrated, I cannot imagine how dangerous that is. You know, for just the general public, especially if
She
kids
they make
are
comparisons to
sorry, go ahead.
okay. They make comparisons to heroin and hydra
Hydrocodone,
oxycontin,
which is
yeah,
essentially
all that
heroin,
stuff.
but in pill form. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's
Yeah, you're more knowledgeable.
I do not partake in these things. I just look. I just read Demon Copperhead, so that's a big part. That's a big reason I know a lot of this stuff. Uh, but no,
There
it's
you go.
hey, hats off to them for bringing this up because I don't think anybody would have known this in the public had they not brought this up. And I mentioned to you before we started recording that the amount of diverse opinions who are all sort of like centering around this issue, saying it's dangerous, like that opened my eyes. Like, oh wow, if this person and this person who are completely different are agreeing on this is a pretty serious issue.
Yeah. And so the reason why they were speaking to the Republican caucus, they were asking for, hey, we're waiting on some kind of legislation from the federal government. We're talking to state people too, but we don't know how long it's going to take. And you do something locally to kind of try to limit this somehow. And Mike Taylor, who is the chair of the county commission, he invited them if they show up, which I have no reason to think they won't. Monday morning at county commission, they're going to give this presentation again to the full body because there was only Juanita Jones. She'll attend the Republican caucus just to hear what they're talking about. But I think she was in. She didn't say anything in disagreement with any of this. So already
Yeah.
we got both sides of the aisle kind of jumping in on this.
Well, we already have. I believe we already have zoning rules around how many package stores we have in Madison County or City of Jackson.
Liquor stores.
Liquor
Yeah.
stores. Sorry, yeah. And so
Yeah.
um, this makes sense, right? Like if you want to go along the lines of that, and I do think this should be regulated. Kids should be having this stuff. Kids should be having alcohol, right? Like they shouldn't be having this either. So yes, regulate it like you do wine and beer and whiskey, liquor, all that stuff. Here's all they have to do, honestly, though, and I don't know why Scarlet Rope didn't think about this or whoever's concerned about this stuff. All you got to do is call Commissioner Tony Niehoff. Like he'll put in a call to Donald Trump and just get this eradicated like immediately. So, just that's my free advice. Like, don't even worry about the caucus. Just go there.
That comment was deleted. It doesn't count anymore.
That's right. It's gone. Far from the east is from the west. Oh man, but yeah, seriously, I think this. I'm glad that they brought this to the. Scott Rope's doing. Look, I don't know completely how I feel about the process, but they are doing really good work in the community. They were at our in service. They're getting information out there, and so they are trying to help make Jackson a safer and better place. So hats off to them.
Definitely.
That's did I miss anything? I think we got everything covered, and we're just under an hour.
So you don't want to you don't want to discuss Dooley's column?
No, I don't know. Hey, well, here's when I haven't read a Dooley column in a long time. I'm just trying, like, for me, I'm just trying to be a better person. But when I saw the headline, I just kept hearing like that old song, "Let's hear it for the boys." You know that, but I just kept singing that over. Let's hear it for the church.
Yeah, when I saw it in my email, I was thinking it too. I will say, I am planning on the reason why he wrote that column is because Inglewood, along with West Tennessee Healthcare, both celebrated their 75th birthdays this week. Apparently, these two entities in Jackson were founded the same week in 1950. So there will be a more detailed story. I'm planning on a more detailed story about the history of Inglewood, since it is one of the largest congregations in Jackson. It's been around for 75 years. That's a pretty red letter thing. And it's not the first time I've written a story like that. So we'll. I just want to let Adam write it. I'm going to write that.
Good. I have a small part of that history, helping bring a men's church league championship to Inglewood Baptist Church on a team helmed by Rod Parker back in the day.
That explains why your picture's up on the wall with all the history there leading to the Jet Fellowship Center.
It should be with the gold ball that we had. Let me tell you real quick before we hang up. Let me tell you what
Dr. Jet,
what Rod
Dr. Jet, Ben Mandrell, and Gabe Hart.
Gabe Hart with the basketball. Rod would write out the lineup, and he would assign everybody a time period, right? Like, so he would, I guess, the days that we had games, he probably didn't do much work. He worked on our player rotation and had it written out, so everybody knew when to come in, when to go out. When it was amazing. Like, he was really good about that. So I know he was like in his 30s or 40s, like just living for church league basketball, as we all were in 2003.
Well, now he lives for TCA girls basketball, helping. Well, he was helping Matt Coble. I'm assuming he's going to keep helping Janet Kaler.
Hope he does.
I may be wrong. My apologies if I'm wrong, but yeah, he is a good coach. He's one of the best basketball minds around here.
Yep. Hopefully, he will coach somewhere if it's not at TCA. All right, Brandon. I'm gonna sign off here and get some sleep because it's been a long day for me.
All right.
All right. Thanks for doing it.
Be safe coming back.
Will do, buddy. See ya.
Yeah. Thanks for. Hey. See ya.